Hey YouTube, this is how to fix your ice maker or test it or whatnot. Basically, this is your ice maker. Those tines, this tray back here fills up with water. The water comes in right through here and fills those. And these tines, basically, once the sensors sense, I think it's probably timed. Then this whole thing heats up to release the ice, and then these things just push them out. That whole thing works based on this right here. You can make, this is just a regular 14-2 wire that basically runs through your house. This is just a white one. I cut the ends off because you're going to use it later to jump things. This one is T to H, specific for this. And what you're going to do by doing that is trick the whole thing into, starting up and working. So it's just stopped working all of a sudden. Essentially, there's 3 screws holding this whole thing on. And inside of here, kind of don't want to take it apart, but I will do it again because I think I just got it working again. At least it ran one cycle. I'm not 100% sure if it's fixed, but we will find out. You can order, this has happened to me before. This whole mechanism is supposed to last like 7 to 10 years. I replaced the whole unit less than 3 years ago, and now it stopped working again. So you undo these 3 screws, and like I said, I bought the whole unit. I think I paid between 75 or 100 bucks for it on eBay or Sears Parts Direct, something like that. Can't remember. If you look right here, this is specific to yours. What I did this time, I probably should have waited and kept playing with it, but I ordered just this piece, not the whole black piece back here, but just this piece right here. So when I take it off gingerly, I'll show you inside. Basically, this is what it looks like. And I've seen videos where a person replaced just this. However, that part was like $20. I was able to buy this whole thing for $23 shipped. And how he took it apart, you can see, well, the one he did, this just had a quarter turn, and he pulled these wires out here and there. You just pull them off. And then they basically just press down. If you see how there's all copper inside here, whatnot, that's where everything, all the electricity flows, whatnot, and connects. What I did, if you see this area right here, it was squeezed together. You see how it should look, pretty good right there, and how they're close together, whatnot. They were far apart, and it was all crappy in there. So what I did is I polished them up some, and then if you notice this copper down inside here, it looked like it had been like welded in one area. And what's happening is these right here are what touch. Those run to this heating element right here. If I was to take the bottom of this apart, you could see that they run the whole bottom, and that's obviously what heats the whole thing. So all these contacts have to work well. And like I said, I just resoldered inside here. I basically sent some solder in there and made them squeeze tightly together to hope that it would work. Now, I just ran a cycle with this, and it did fire up, so maybe it's fixed now because of that solder job. It doesn't look very good, but if it makes it work, great. If not, another video I saw, the guy actually replaced that. He used a bullet and basically made something looking like this or that out of a copper sleeve of a bullet. Basically just cut it up, stuck it in there, and soldered the whole thing in. It's kind of hard working in there. It's pretty tight. I just, like I said, I ran some solder in there, hoping that just that itself would make the contact work. if that doesn't work anyway, I ordered this whole part, and I got it right from eBay actually. You can just type in, when you're looking on eBay, this M011 number. Yours might be something different, but I typed in M011 120 VAC 3 watt, and then boom, all of these showed up, this whole unit. So what I'm going to do now is carefully, because you see where you have to connect these, carefully again, try and, here's the other thing, this piece right here turns. I can turn it by just grabbing it here. And if you look at this, how it's a D shape right here, it has to line up. So when you're putting it together, kind of like hold it and turn it until it kind of like catches. There, so you can see where the angle of it, so now it'll allow you to slide it in, and you want to just be careful because as you're pushing it in, it's receiving those little areas like I showed you that that I soldered. So again, it's just 3 screws to screw it back in. Basically what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to put this back into the refrigerator, and I'm going to run that test that I told you about. How you do it and make it work is you have to unplug the refrigerator, which they don't tell you. They just stuck the jumper in and basically said if it doesn't move or work, then this whole part is fried. So what we're going to do is something a little different, and we're going to take this whole unit. Hold on, I don't want to drop my phone. So we're going to take this whole unit and we're going to bring it over back to the refrigerator. What I'm going to end up doing, I don't know if I can set this, so just bear with me. I have it on a little tripod here, and I'm going to try and keep it so you can watch what I'm doing. Oops, as I drop it on the ground. Sorry about this. Okay, so it's kind of dark. I'll bring you closer in a second. So here's the plug inside here is going to plug into the side here. So I'm just going to do that. Once I have that in here, I can come back over there and grab the phone and get you closer. Okay. So once you plug it in, you just need to set it in there so it's not going to fall. And we're going to grab our little jumper, and I'm going to stick it right in these two. It's letter T to H. So jumper, you just slide in easily. T to H. Now here's the tricky part. You see this right here? This is where the water comes out and goes into this little white tray. Well, we're not gonna have this whole thing set in here because we have this white box that I showed you earlier. I don't know if I did show you. Essentially, this right here covers all that after. So we don't have it on right now. Point being, when this thing rotates and so on, water's gonna pour out of there and make a huge mess. So what you need is like a cup or a little bucket, and have that ready. Trust me, you don't want to have water coming through here. So what I'm going to do now is unplug it. Like I said, they don't tell you this stuff on the website. Oh, sorry, on YouTube video that I saw. So I'm unplugging, and now I'm just going to plug it right back in. And this whole thing's going to cycle now. You know, it's going to do a bunch of things. And at some point you're going to hear, you also want to keep this clear. That right there is a little laser talking to this side. I taped this here and I taped that up there so it thinks the door's closed and it will make ice. Right now that thing's not spinning. Once we see that start to blink, we know the ice machine's going to start talking. You're probably going to hear this is where the ice gets stored. It'll make some sounds. Essentially the refrigerator goes through like a whole cycle of things, and just takes a few. I can't make it go any faster either. Once it actually starts talking or whatnot, you hear that? And that should start blinking soon. It's blowing more cold air. And once it starts blinking, that dial will start turning. It should happen within the next 30 seconds probably. And when it does, all these tines up there are going to start turning also, that you'll see. And once they go down and then start coming back up, now granted, hopefully this happens. It should happen if the connection that's inside there isn't screwed up again when I took it apart and put it back together. I haven't seen this light up at all. Like I said, it takes a second or two, unfortunately, and that's kind of why I'm doing the video, because you can lose your patience and you know, you can take that thing apart and put it back together 20 times and you'll miss it. Sounds like it's doing some more stuff. Like I said, it's got a big computer inside and it tells it when to do all these things. The only other thing I can think, if this doesn't happen in another second or so, is that I might have had it plugged in these two, this one to this one. Couldn't really remember. Which that one is neutral, I think. Neutral to motor is what it said, is N to M. Anyway, we'll give it a second here. Only 5 more seconds, and if that doesn't work, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug it in again. Maybe I had it in this one, and I apologize. And this is again why I'm doing it, because you'll never. So I just slid it into N and M, and I'm going to go through and unplug it again. And plug it back in, and again it's going to go through its cycle. You can hear. And this will cycle at some point that you heard before, and then we should definitely see, just make sure that's not blocking that laser light. Then we should definitely see that red light start to blink. Hopefully this works for you. If it doesn't, I will make another video once I figure out why. And it could be, like I said, that soldering spot inside again, which I think was the main culprit from the beginning. You could tell it had like a burnt, so it is rotating now. See the tines moving. See, that's blinking. So just remember, plug it in those two, N and M. Now you're going to want to have your cup of water handy, so that way you see those tines, they're going down, and then you're going to see them come back up again. So actually I have probably a little bit of time. So you're going to see those rise, and when you see them rise, that's pretty close to when you're going to get the water. You can see the dials slowly turning. See? And like I said, shortly we'll see those tines in the back, the white little arms, will start to come up. So that's what I did wrong. So you have to plug it in N to M. November, Mike. And I'm holding this cup here a little too soon, I'm sure. But I'd rather be safe than sorry. I think once we start to see those tines rise in the back, that's when the water's going to show up. So if you weren't doing what I'm doing now, you'd really be in trouble. So you can see them arms coming up now, and once they're, I think, closer to straight up, that water will fill this little cup. I don't think it'll fill it, but it'll, you know, there's gonna be plenty of water in there. So there they go, and that light's just, see how it's still blinking and it's still sensing, and we should get water here any second now. When you're, there you go. And that's it. It's not really a lot of water, but that would have, you know, been pretty crappy in the inside of your freezer. So now that thing will still spin, and those will, you just heard it click, until they're like at somewhat of an angle, and then it'll stop. And basically what it's going to do is just sit there until it thinks that it's frozen, and then those things are what push the ice out later on. But that can take, like, I think 3 to 5 hours, you know, for, you know, it knows how long it takes. So now that we have it here, really we need to put the whole thing back together. So we'd have to put the white thing back on here, obviously unplug this. Kind of what I'd like to do, because I want to get water in there, because right now it thinks there's water in there, so it's going to take the whole, you know, 3 to 5 hours and then push out nothing. And I want my ice to start coming so I know that it's going to work. If it's not going to work, then it won't push the ice cubes out, so you'll know later on when you're getting no ice. And if it does push the ice cubes out, you should be pretty good to go. And basically that's it. We know that, you know, the only other things that could go wrong with ice not showing up in your bucket here is if this ever froze, the line that goes behind your refrigerator. It's unlikely, but it does happen to some people. You know, that can be an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'll put you down, and I'm going to run this cycle again. But I think I can pull that plug out. That's the other thing. You can pull this plug out once the whole process starts, and then you can put your box back on, put the whole thing in here, and you should be good to go. So that's what I'm going to do now, and that means I'm going to have to unplug the refrigerator again and run through this whole thing again. So bear with me a second. There we go. Unplugging. Now you can hear it working. ticking and so on. So basically, you can't pull that jumper out until it actually starts rotating. And I think it'll make like the first clicking sound. And once that makes the first clicking sound, then I think you can unplug it and it will still continue to spin. Again, we're doing this because there'd be no water in the tray because we just filled up that little cup, and you know, I want to make this work, so, or see that it's going to work. So once we hear this thing make its sounds again, and you'll get that blinking light, and then so that just fired up. That thing is already spinning, and that thing's blinking. So I think once we get a little click in there, I think we can pull the jumper out. Oh, look at it. Was that click? Oh, damn. Yeah, that's not good. So just what I didn't want to happen, horribly happened. That's awesome. What an idiot. And you see how those tines are pretty much straight up. I wasn't aware that it was at that point yet. I thought it had to go all the way by. So that's cool. Anyway, hey, anything for YouTube, right? So now you know anyway. I'm just going to do it again, and obviously be ready for it this time. You can see that, you know, blinking and so on and so forth. You can take this jumper out, is what I was going to try and do, and put that cover on the side, slide the whole thing in there, and be good to go. I am going to do that now. I hope you found that pretty funny. Now I have to clean up my floor. Not too much water, but enough to make a little bit of a mess. Anyway, YouTube, hopefully this helps you guys. Again, once you kick it back on, and it starts rotating, you can, first of all, you don't want to stop it either. Like right now it's still rotating. So I'm going to allow it to continue to rotate before I unplug it and do the whole thing again. You don't want to stop it like midway. So let it finish rotating, so on and so forth. I just heard a little ding sound, whatever, but it's still rotating. And yeah, that's it. So once I start this process again, probably once it starts to move, I might wait 1 second and then try and put that cover on and get the whole thing slid in there quickly. It slides in pretty easy before the water starts to spray this time. Key to remember is those tines are almost straight up when it's ready to go. So anyway, that's it, YouTube. I'll put some comments on there, let you know how it worked. All right, thanks, YouTube. Rate, comment, subscribe.